Sire Studios Digital Network, secretsofthesire.com, youtube.com/secretsofthesire, facebook.com/secretsofthesire. We are also on radiopublic.com as well. Tonight, we're reviewing the Amazon Prime series The Boys, and we welcome Smallville and Shazam star John Glover to the show. As always, I am your host, Michael Dolce, and I am joined by my cohort in crime, Mr. Lord of the Radio himself, Hassan Godwin. How you doing, sir?
I'm doing good. It's not bad. Wednesday is not bad.
So I was saving this for the show, which is good. Right. You asked me if I was okay, and I am okay.
Yes. Because you mysteriously didn't answer that question when
I'm a little quiet, but I'm quiet because for other reasons. But ask me if I saw The Boys.
Did you see The Boys, Michael?
I did see The Boys. I managed to binge watch The Boys Sunday in preparation. Do you know how I managed to binge watch The Boys?
How did you do that?
Because I had to go to the hospital Saturday night. It was very exciting. I got just some of the worst stomach pains I've ever got in my entire life. Went to the hospital because we were at a party. As we're driving home, it was like we were like upstate. It was like 40 minutes to go home, 20 minutes to the nearest hospital. I was in that bad pain that I decided to go hospital. Yes, hospital. So turns out nothing big. Something that I ate inflamed my stomach. It actually started getting better as I got there, which was great, but they wanted to keep me overnight for observation.
Inflamed your stomach? Something you ate?
Like irritated, It irritated my stomach to the point where it was just like, still a little, little pain here and there. I'm trying to...
Really? You're still feeling it?
Stuff. Well, a little bit, like nothing crazy. Not trying to get into any gross details as well, too, but
but the stomach, I mean, there's nothing clean about the stomach.
Sure.
Stomach pain, it's nothing... It's always graphic, no matter what you do about that. But hold on.
But they kept me overnight, so I literally had nothing else to do. Except
and you watch it? What you watching on your phone?
I watched it on my phone, which actually my neck hurts now from watching.
Because you're holding it, yeah.
But
oh man,
there you go.
Hold on. Do you know what it is you ate? That's more important than The Boys.
I think it was leftovers. It was some sort of leftovers. It probably
that you had in your house.
And yeah. Well, the funny thing is, it happened. I ate the leftovers for lunch. Then I got these pains, but then they went away. Then we went to the party, and I ate the party food, and the party food was amazing. But then I was like in intense pain again. It was actually just it was my lower stomach. So as I'm driving home, I wasn't actually driving, but the way I was seated, so it just pressed everything up against my stomach, and then it would make me kind of like arch my back because I was in a lot of pain. So like my back was hurting and my stomach was hurting, and I was like, you know what? I'm like, let's just be safe. Let's be safe rather than sorry.
Wow, that's I don't even have any words for that. That's terrible.
So I watched The Boys all weekend.
So you watched The Boys. Well, I think that they're gonna want a better endorsement than it works if you're in pain, But I'm glad you got a chance to see The Boys, but not like that. No, that's not.
I know, but
that's not good.
It's okay. I'll be fine.
There's nothing really worse than stomach pain. Really isn't, because there's no relief from it. I mean, there's no thinking around it. There's no distracting yourself from it. There's I mean, depending on the severity of it, like I said, incrementally starts to affect the rest of your body.
We got in at 5 o'clock. By 6 o'clock, I had a room. I was upstairs in a room, so it was like, all right, I'm good.
Freaked your wife out though.
Yeah, it wasn't great, but everyone was, like I said, everyone was. It all had a happy ending in the end. It wasn't. It was.
Well, you're still feeling it a little bit, so maybe
it was a bowel obstruction, according to what they said. So maybe I ate some plastic. The first thing out of the doctor's mouth was, "What did you have? Chinese food?"
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and the ironic part is I had been eating Chinese food, but not on Saturday. Not on Saturday. So
they might have been holding out.
Go figure.
It was building up a force against you.
Enough about my bowel movements. What is your take on The Boys?
I didn't see it.
Oh, that's ironic. That'd be very ironic then. I'd be like, I killed.
Yeah, wouldn't it? I just decided not to watch it. I decided you probably wouldn't see it, so why should I see it? That's what my logic was. You know what? It's really weird. I liked it. I liked it a lot. I thought it was a really, I thought it was really well done. It was really well paced. It was kind of it was, you know, it's pretty straightforward. Yeah. It's Garth Ennis, so of course it's Garth Ennis source material. So of course, very straightforward. Not a lot of complexity in getting into the story in and of itself. Mm-hmm. Here's my only thing, and I'll say the negative thing up front.
Okay.
It didn't make a lasting impression on me.
Okay.
Like, I enjoyed it while watching it, but then, you know, as the hysteria machine starts to build up, mm-hmm. and people start talking about speculating about what's going to happen in season 2, and
which, by the way, this is our spoiler-filled review.
So right. I really am not even in this intend to really spoil too much. Right. But I was just saying, you know, basically, you know, it is not really a spoiler to say it ends kind of on a cliffhanger.
Right.
And
but you can say it because it's our spoiler for the review.
No, yes, but I'm okay, fair enough. And people get into these speculations about, like, you know, you get these videos like on the YouTube milieu. You get mm-hmm. the videos like ending explained. You know, the boys, and I don't know why it really needed a companion piece to explain an ending. Mm-hmm. And
well, actually, we'll get into the ending in a little bit because there is something about that does not explaining. It doesn't need explaining, but the decision making from the executive.
Well, I got an issue with a lot of the decisions that were made for the story. That's A. B. The you know, there's a lot of speculation on what season 2 is going to be like, and while all that was happening, I found myself going, See, I mean, when the next season comes out, I'll watch it, but it's not one of those. It's not like how Stranger Things ended, and I was like, oh man, I kind of want to know who that guy is in the holding cell. You know, I kind of want to know what's going on. Stranger Things ended this year, and I was like, wow, that was really short. You know, I could have done with 1 or 2 more episodes, which is a unique complaint for me because I think there's too many.
Not you, yep. Mm-hmm.
It's not like it used to be. I'm not crazy about it. Like when I was a kid, and things would end with a cliffhanger, it would bother me. It really would. It would take months and months for me to just kind of sift through it. And now I'm like, all right, they want me to come back next year. That's nice. It's flattering to get an invitation to come back next year, but I got other stuff to do, and there's going to be other shows on, so I'm not going to be too distracted. So, but the boys ended, and I was like, okay.
Wow. See, I actually had the exact opposite reaction, though. First of all, totally immersed in it. I was literally thinking of it days after, and maybe it was my experience in watching it. Who knows?
Maybe it's because you were dying, and you were like,
maybe it's because I was dying, and that was the one show I was going to watch before I died. But you know what? Before we get into the ending, the whole show to me, you know those like superhero fan films that are so well done, and you're like, man, if only the studios could do that for real. That's what it felt like when I first started watching the show. I was just like, holy cow, I can't believe, like, this to me.
How well this is
just so beautifully shot. The action scenes are so riveting. You know, they get you right into it immediately. Again, did I say beautifully shot? Because it just is beautifully shot.
It
was so tremendous. And then obviously, you know, the whole shtick of and for anybody who hasn't seen it but wants to know what it is, it's about a corporation of superheroes, corporation of evil superheroes, or an evil corporation of superheroes, however you want to put it. And this group of boys that try to take them down. And the shock value after the first episode was so intense, especially when Huey loses his girlfriend right off the bat. Didn't see that coming. You know.
Yeah, they ruined that for me because here's what happened with that. I started watching the show.
Yeah.
I started watching it in the beginning. Mm-hmm. Started out pretty, solid and straightforward. And Huey was talking to his girlfriend, and they just walked outside. They just walked out of the video store. And then I stopped for some reason to do something else, and then I ended up seeing the trailer on YouTube. And they showed the scene in the trailer.
Well, that's your fault. That's not their fault.
It's their fault they put that scene in the trailer.
Yeah, but why did you watch the trailer? if you were already watching the show?
Because I had to stop, and I went to when you click on YouTube to go watch something else.
Oh.
Sometimes there'll be a trailer that'll the commercial that you can't cut away from. You know, they give you a.
So what you're saying is you illegally watched The Boys on YouTube.
Now let's try again. I was watching The Boys on Amazon.
Yes.
I stopped watching it at that point.
Okay.
Something else. I came back and I started watching I looked at another vlog on YouTube. When I clicked on the YouTube vlog, there was a trailer for The Boys.
Okay.
It had that scene in the trailer.
I got you. Well,
and I'm like, why would you put that in the trailer? That is you just I mean, I know it's a great scene. It's a great setup, and it sets up the stakes well.
Yeah.
And it kind of the callousness of the Seven, you know, that these people are just you know, there's a lot of words for them, as a matter of fact. But anyway, but also it really ruins the shock value that sequence. You know, that was very strong. There's a couple of issues I had with well, it doesn't matter. But I enjoyed it. I think it was really good. Mm-hmm. One of my issues is it's nothing new, because I've seen.
I agree with that, but
I've seen corporate superheroes before. I've seen evil takes on Superman, and you know, the evil kind of Justice League.
Let me ask you, where have you seen that? Like, I feel like to joke you public, this is like earth-shattering stuff.
It doesn't matter about them.
I don't think it is, though. Well, no. I'm just curious the context in which you're saying this, and I don't mean that necessarily to downplay what you're saying. I'm just curious if it's just because you've read more comics that have that kind of stuff.
I mean, Mystery Men had it with Mr. What was his name? Was Mr. Magnificent or Mr.
Wow, that is 1993.
Yeah, and that's what I'm talking about. And he he actually had endorsements on his super suit. Yeah. If you remember that. Like he was like
gentler though. That was a kinder, gentler
But I mean I'm talking about, like, you know, superheroes have been corporately sponsored.
Yeah.
Who, you know, become the patrons of money machines and, you know, whatever. I'm saying it's a done thing.
Yeah.
It's not a fairly original thing. It is something definitely that could be explored a little more.
Yeah.
So we have the evil Superman take. The issue with that is that we got Brightburn.
Right.
We kind of have the DCEU, which didn't go that way with Superman, but hinted that the people were afraid that he was going to go that way, and it showed several aspects of a villainous Superman, a very very destructive, very single-minded and self-centered Superman. Yep. So I mean, we've seen it. It's not a. It would have fared better with me, and it's not the fault of the material at all, by the way, and it's not the fault of the show at all, because the show is really well done. I'm saying it would have done a lot better with me if this was a completely new, you know, if it was so abhorrent to see superheroes acting in this. I
actually don't disagree with anything you said there. Because it's funny, the first 2 episodes to me were they suck you right in. You want to you're shocked and you want to learn more. You want to kind of understand what's going on here,
right?
Because the shock value is so high. After that kind of fades, though, it got a little monotonous to see them being so evil.
Yeah, after a while, you're like, holy crap.
You're like, oh, good Lord. That being said, that only lasted for a little while for me, and then it picked back up again. I thought Starlight Erin Moriarty was fantastic. Like, I loved her storyline.
She was great. She was absolutely great.
Fantastic in it. Queen Maeve's storyline was good as well, too. Homelander, to me, is just downright terrifying. And
he is.
And that's a good, like Anthony Starr is unbelievable in this role as a dark Superman. I mean, the scene in the airplane that everyone's talking about, the airplane scene, and rightfully so. It's a despicable.
It's a really heavy.
I feel like he could have saved them. I don't know. I know he explained why he wasn't able to fly the plane down. I feel like he could have flown the plane.
Of course he could have. He just didn't feel like. It also would have added to the margin of error, you know? So
if
he tried to save a few of them, there would be witnesses.
But when he comes in, when he comes in with those eyes, man, like it is just downright terrifying. It's like
this is what I kind of liked about the DCEU Superman. I didn't, I liked that they kind of had their cake and ate it too, because he was the good Superman,
right?
But every time that you saw him in someone else's eyes, he was some kind of, he was downright terrifying,
right?
And I've always liked the ambiguousness of Superman. Like, any minute this guy decides he's having a bad day, it could be a bad day for everybody involved.
Yeah.
So I really like that. I think Homelander is the best thing about The Boys, to be honest with you. And
I agree with you 100%.
They should have called The Boys something else for the TV show. I think they should have called it The Seven. I think they should have. My opinion, just my opinion, I think they should have focused their attention 100% on the Seven, even though Carl Urban and all these other characters were the main characters. But I think calling it The Boys,
it was a weird title, actually.
And then you find out, wait a minute, the stories about these guys,
right?
These guys are the boys, but. Right. You Butcher, William Butcher, who's being played by Carl Urban. He has an incentive, and so does Huey. You see his incentive, but Mother's Milk and Frenchie, you don't really. They just kind of got dragged along for the ride,
right?
So it's not like these guys are a coalition put together of grievously wounded victims of the Seven,
right?
So, I mean, it is good. I just think that there are kind of, for television, there were kind of tweaks that they could have done that would probably have resonated a lot stronger.
Well, it's funny
in a lot of ways.
I know the series is about 8 years old now at this point. It was a 71 issue run, and we're going to get into just in a second. We're literally going to get into how it compares to the comic book. There was a couple storylines that played out as if they were 8 years old. The religious intervention stuff in the middle, because that's not
right. Because that's not
the Trump, Republican Party right now. That was like the Republican Party like 8 years ago. That would have been the commentary on the church like 8 years ago.
Yeah, the neocon kind of thing.
Right. That would have been that. There would have also been, the Starlight's speech. I actually fast forwarded through most of her speech because I didn't really I was just bored by it because I'm like, no, this is a little dated, this speech. Because that's not the contemporary times we live in. And it's just weird to me because I'm sitting there saying, like, boy, they could have updated this a little bit.
They kind of Me Too'd The Deep. That was a little contemporary.
I thought that was actually good. The Deep is funny, though, too, to me, because he's the one character, and I'm glad you brought him up, he's the one character that started out extremely strong for me, became a punchline, and had no purpose by the end of the show. The end of the show, just making fun of Aquaman wasn't enough for me. It was hilarious, don't get me wrong. The dolphin scene,
but what was that about? What was he trying to save a dolphin for? And then a lobster. Then he goes to try to save a lobster.
I know. I thought
it's like, I get your pain, dude, but I mean, there's a billion lobsters in the sea that are safe.
I just think that they were trying to make fun of Aquaman and trying to have him as a running punchline, which was a little weird for me, considering,
especially after $1 billion Aquaman movie.
Yes,
where they showed the depth of what an Aquaman movie could really, what the kingdom of the water was really like.
He's king of Atlantis, right? That's different than I Talk to Fish, and I had like when he's banging that girl. So like when I thought the girl was going to come in, I thought when she was actually trying to seduce him or whatever, they were in the hotel room. I thought he was either going to be a set up victim of a Me Too movement, or she was somehow connected to something that was going to end up impacting the final episodes.
And it just really just turned into
nothing. The Deep just was another.
It was a bad date. It was just a bad date for him. There's a number of things that just kind of it felt like it was done for the sake of shock, and it felt like the shock was a little late.
Right.
Where we are today. Like, look, Watchmen. For me, Watchmen was the movie. Zack Snyder's Watchmen. Movie.
This
hold on one second. That was for me. Wow, superheroes are kind of bent. That was we had seen it before, like I mentioned with Mystery Men and a couple of other stories. But Watchmen was the one that really brought it home. That like, wow, what if these are, what if you did a story about like really bent superheroes, or really self-centered, like the comedian, and even the Owl and Miss Jupiter were kind of, even though they were on they were righteous, they were still, damaged. There was a lot of scar tissue that they were working through. That was the first time that was really done, and the heroes didn't look squeaky clean. And I thought that for me resonated a lot more. Now, hopefully, people who, because The Watchmen was almost 10 years ago, hopefully for people who are just coming up now, this show resonates for them the same way.
See, this show felt to me like the Watchmen movie Zack Snyder was trying to make, and it did never.
Because you don't have any. Translated. Yeah, I guess so. Or it. I don't know. There's something about the show that's a little off for me. I enjoyed it thoroughly.
Yeah.
And a couple of people asked about it, and I think it's my problem. I don't really think it's what they should have done was this and that. I really think it's just it just didn't, the premise in and of itself didn't do much for me because I've seen it before, so it wasn't a new premise. Like I said, Homelander's fantastic, Maeve's fantastic.
Elizabeth Shue is amazing in this too.
Huh?
Elizabeth Shue, I mean,
that's another thing, and then they just, spoiler. Now she's dead, so you don't even have that.
I liked that they killed her. Actually, I liked it. I think she. Pardon the symbolism here. I think she culminated her run by the end of the.
I guess so. I mean, it was just so odd because I think the problem is. I can't believe I keep saying this. It was too short.
Wow.
There were for something like this, for something this deep.
Yeah.
You need nuance. You do need to get into character situations. Like you need to get into heavy character-driven circumstances so that you can know these characters. And look, they didn't have to do anything with Homelander. He could stay as ambiguous as possible because that's probably what makes him so terrifying. Is you really don't know what's on his mind.
Right.
You don't know what he's thinking, and you really shouldn't. There shouldn't be an episode that explains the entire story of Homelander and why he's like this, and kind of paint him in a more sympathetic light or a less sympathetic light. Those things are dangerous. They should stay away from that. I'm not looking for that. But some other characters, like you can tell that Maeve, there's a lot going on there. I'm sure they're saving some of that for season 2.
Yep.
There's stuff with Starlight and Maeve, how Maeve was completely unsympathetic to her,
Right.
Her lack of ability to acclimate to being in the 7 as early, as being thrown into it as quickly as possible. I get some of that, but I think it's been explored more. I think they could have done it.
Maeve was
uneven, a lot more character-driven.
Yeah, Maeve was uneven to me the entire time, though, because at one point
you don't know
Wonder Woman. Another point now she's not. She dated Homelander. She's not with him.
Right, and then she's gay, and then she's not gay, and then, it's kind of weird. Also, none of them are evil? Really, Homelander's the evil one. Everybody else is just kind of damaged, so they just follow along. Like A-Train is just kind of, he's a tweaker, and he's just following.
It's again, it kind of goes back to the dated quality of it too. I mean, even A-Train's role to me was more stereotypical than I thought. In today's climate that you would get. Now they did end up having the scene in the mall later on, which is a little more relevant when he's on crutches and the security guard. But even that to me felt forced at that point. Then it felt like, he doesn't.
Yeah, then it felt like it was like a social service at that point. Like we're paying service to the social. Even as a superhero, when he doesn't have his superhero costume on, he's still just a black man who has to deal with the. And I mean, because we don't know anything about his character, other than even with him and Popclaw, he's more like they kind of played him off more like a celebrity rapper who's afraid of losing his fame.
Yep.
They do a conflicted superhero who's feeling weaker and weaker because the older he gets, the weaker he gets. So he's worried. He's going to be replaced.
He was like an athlete. He was like an athlete. I mean,
and it's like
exactly like an athlete.
Yeah, and I mean that's not a.
I mean, that
wasn't really an interesting character situation.
Yeah, no, agreed. And then he was, he went in and out for me as well too. The only other, and again, to me,
and then you got Noir. You don't know anything about him. You got it Translucid.
I know. I want to know more about the. Was it the Noir? Is that it?
I think it's either Noir or the Noir. I don't know.
I forget what it's called, but no, he was actually pretty awesome. I thought we would learn something about him. We didn't. I guess I kind of agree with you. You could have gone 2 more episodes. We could have learned a little bit more about each guy, but at the same time, I'm happy because most of these shows, you don't need 13 episodes. You don't need it. This went right. Absolutely. This felt like an 8-hour movie. So it's essentially what it felt like. And that's what I liked about it. I liked that hurried sense. I liked all that stuff. All right. When we come back, we're going to tell you how The Boys compared to the comic book version and the major change that happened in that so tantalizing cliffhanger to set up the 2nd season. When we come back. Check out the all-new Sire Studios website, SireStudiosInc.com. Find all your back issues for The Sire, Mainstream, Undone, and more. And be on the lookout for news and announcements, convention appearances, and brand new podcasts coming to Sire Studios. That address again is SireStudiosInc.com. Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. Again, we do this every Wednesday night, 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on youtube.com/Secrets of the Sire, facebook.com/Secrets of the Sire, twitch.tv/Secrets of the Sire, and secretsofthesire.com. We are brought to you by all of our beloved patrons, which you can get to patreon.com/Secrets of the Sire. That's Craig Caruso, Tom Osa, Einar Peterson, Matt Byer, Ashley Haikai, Omar Morales, Brian Phillips, Steve Ovecki, Stephanie Dolce, and as always, our Uber fan, and hospital driver, Christina Dolce. So we were talking about The Boys, the series itself. One thing that I thought was really interesting about it, though, too, is I never read it. I mean, it's funny, too. We are aficionados when it comes to this stuff. But this was an obscure series. This was a series that we couldn't even figure out in our casual conversations whether or not it was a DC book or you had said it was a Dynamite book or an IDW book. It turns out we were both right because it was published by both Wildstorm, which was DC, and Dynamite. So it was both. It was a little dated. I mean, we talked about some of the dated things about it. So knowing that this,
which I'm surprised it wasn't the show itself wasn't updated.
I know
some of these things. That was kind of a little weird.
But immediately when I was done watching the show, I was like, I need to buy this comic. I need to read it. So it's actually on my list of things I'm going to get this week when I go into the store like this weekend. I want to pick it up. I want to read the differences. But in the meantime, Newsweek...
Stay away from the pasta.
Yes. Newsweek was very kind to do an article, The Boys on Amazon, how it compares to the comic book. And it kind of goes through a whole bunch of stuff. So if, again, you are interested in reading the comic, look away, but keep us tuned in so we get the hits. Subscribe to our channels, by the way, and like our pages, please. It always helps us. Here is the differences between the two. There's Billy Butcher, a foul-mouthed killer with a sordid past. Frenchie, a scientist whose specialty is killing superpowered individuals. Mother's Milk, a family man who can't resist a chance to work again. And the female, a superpowered mute who channels her berserker rage. These characters all come straight from the comic, though all have much larger and more fleshed-out personalities. Long monologues about religion, heart-to-heart talks, and philosophical debates were mostly absent from the comic. So Garth Ennis put even less into their backstories
in the comic. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Garth Ennis too. That's
for 71 issues too. That's a lot of issues. Frenchie also rarely spoke English in the comic, but that change had to be made, which makes sense.
Of course. Yeah.
The Boys' main adversaries are the Seven, a group of the most powerful heroes the world has ever seen. Like we said, it's a corporation of superheroes led by Homelander, the generic Superman-esque every hero who on the outside represents truth, justice, the American way. On the inside, he's a psychopathic bastard who only cares about the bottom line. In the comics, the Seven are pretty much as depraved and maniacal, except for the Deep, who was rewritten for the show since he was initially a man in an old nautical diving suit who rarely talked. That stinks in the one sense that they took it upon themselves in the show to really make fun of Aquaman.
Yeah, to make him a rip on Aquaman.
Really make fun of Aquaman.
I would actually describe Homelander as sociopathic more than psychopathic.
I agree with you. He's sociopathic.
So I slightly disagree with the article in that, but yeah, everything else,
So the show alludes to teenage kicks who were the first. So check this out. This is an Easter egg, actually. The show alludes to teenage kicks. They were actually the first group of superheroes the boys ever blackmailed in the comics. Popclaw is nothing more than a side character from Teenage Kicks, who was given a much larger role in the show. When Butcher meets with the CIA director, his demands include an office in the Flatiron Building, which was the base of the comic book team. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
If the boys' television show continues, there's plenty more material to be adapted from. There's the G-Men, an X-Men homage with a pedophilic headmaster. Tech Knight has an obsession with having sex with things, sometimes killing them. There's even a badger that's trained to attack the president. The possibilities are endless. Amazon overall did a pretty good job with the boys. The show had to tone down the sex, drugs, and profanity. They toned it down from the comics, but still left enough in there to make any Ennis fan happy. The plot chooses random bits from the comic book run, but still manages to feel like a property of its own. Now, this one is from Polygon, however, and ironically not mentioned in Newsweek. The boys set up for its second season with one big change from the comics. In both the comic and Amazon series, Billy Butcher, leader of the boys, is a man with a singular focus. He hates supes, which are superheroes, and the company they work for, Voight, and he never misses a chance to describe them with colorful languages. There's a very big change, however, revealed in the series' cliffhanger ending. Billy Butcher is the charming, foul-mouthed, and terrifyingly violent leader of the titular boys. His violence and his visceral hatred for all things soup has a foundation, though. In the comics, Butcher is set on his path of hatred and destruction by the death of his wife. As she lay in bed next to Billy one night, her premature child disembowels her as it was born and then proceeds to attack Butcher with lasers from its eyes. Butcher handled the situation how he handles all situations, with extreme violence. He later learns his wife had been raped by a superhero, and that superpowered baby was fathered by, he believes, the Homelander. Butcher comes to blame all superheroes, and by extension the Vought American Corporation, for the death of his wife. In the Amazon series, however, and again, spoilers if you haven't seen it, Butcher's wife, Becca, is thought to be dead. She disappeared, either abandoned her life out of shame or killed herself after she was raped by Homelander. Over the last few episodes of the series, however, both Butcher and Homelander learn the truth, or at least the truth as we understand it. Becca's encounter with Homelander was a consensual affair, and in this version, she survived her pregnancy and raised the superpowered child in hiding, or more accurately, in a kind of corporate witness protection.
Well, we don't know still if it was consensual.
I agree with that question because I think that is still a question.
I think that's a
preconceived notion, like it's something that you actually
a presupposition of the article writer, but it's not confirmed that
it's not confirmed. It might not be inaccurate. Yeah,
it would be. Yeah, it would be an interesting twist if it were, but I mean they haven't confirmed it yet. So that's all I'm saying.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously, the fact that she is alive but left without telling anyone will certainly be explored during the series' second season. That one's interesting to me. And I actually really thought about it too. I'm like, wow, I kind of want to read the comic because I want to find out what happens to the wife. I'm kind of like in this Walking Dead state where, do I read the source material or do I not? I'm curious if the source material. Now, Garth Ennis is one of my favorite writers. His Punisher run in the Punisher Max series was the basis for that awful PG-13 movie with Thomas Jane.
Mm-hmm.
Ironically, I never really read Preacher, which is funny considering how.
Me neither. I think Garth Ennis is a really wonderful writer, and I give him absolute respect. I have no disrespect, but I haven't really been into a lot of things that he's written because he's very cynical about just about everything.
He is. He's also very over the top.
Yeah, and that kind of gets on you after a while. And I think while you were reading this article, that's one of the not to sound prudish, but that's one of the things about The Boys that started to kind of weigh on me a little. It was like everything was like a cynical, nothing could be taken for granted. Everything was a cynical shock aspect, you know, like I mean, and I know for a fact that they toned a lot of that down from what it was in the comic books, you know.
Yeah.
So it was just, to me, it was a lot of 90s shock value without any of the new.
2000s. I would say 2000s.
I mean,
90s was not a shock value time for comics. It really wasn't. It wasn't until the Marvel Max line. And
I disagree. I think there was a lot of. I think the fact that
the Authority. When did the Authority come out? If we're talking comics, see, in the late 90s.
Yeah, but you know, I'm just talking about like the fact that the 90s was kind of the last. I mean, if this had come out in the 90s, well, first of all, if this had come out in the 90s, it would have been banned.
Yeah, not good.
But I mean, if this had come out in the early 2000s or the 90s, or the end of the 90s, this would be groundbreaking.
Right.
I think it's really cynical without making any kind of really strong public statement about anything, and I don't think it's required to, but I'm just saying it's like a lot of cynicism.
Right.
For very little, like, of course the world is a terrible place. You know, everybody. Sure. Therefore, everyone in the world is a terrible person. Therefore, there's no honor to anything, and there's no anything. But then you're going to turn it into you're going to serialize that and turn it into a TV show. So unfortunately, for the television the model, you have to give some people redeeming qualities, and that kind of starts to that kind of comes to loggerheads with the overall theme of the story.
Right.
Because if you make these people, if they make the mistake and humanize Homelander in any way, that the whole story's over. You know, they've already humanized Maeve. They've already humanized.
I don't think that's true, because they started to humanize Homelander. He's just so far gone. I don't think he can have. There's no Darth Vader quality to him where you sit there and go, he can be redeemed at this point. But you can understand.
But that's what I'm talking about. Like when you give him, I mean, but they never take this to, like, okay, like The Sopranos, right? Every time they seemed like they were in danger of really sympathizing with Tony Soprano. Yeah. He did something despicable, and you're like, oh yeah, this guy's a bad guy, you know? Sure. Even though for the last 10 episodes I just saw him arguing with his daughter about a gabagoo and you know, whatever.
Well, that's I mean, I guess that's what the scene at the end with Elizabeth Shue was, killing her off too. I mean, no matter what.
Yeah.
I mean, he basically does not care that her son's there, basically using the son as a target. I mean,
but we knew that about him, you know. Like she thought the only person who was shocked at the situation.
I don't think they're not humanizing him at all. Even if they give him a backstory.
I know. I didn't say they were.
You're just saying they do. You're just saying if they did.
I said if they do, the danger will happen if they do that. You know, if they take him in any way, if they three-dimensionalize him, it's completely against television conventionality. But they have to keep him static like that, because that's how he is the dark id of the story. If you lighten up your id, you're in some serious trouble. Your ego is in some serious trouble. So it's going to be a delicate balance. I don't see it going too much further than this. Personally, I could be dead wrong. I'm gonna make a slight prediction. I don't think I've seen the showrunners and stuff like that. I don't think it's in great hands. My personal opinion. I think a lot of it was slickly done. It was well shot, and I think it was very much relying on it, the quality of the production and the quality actors they got to play these parts, because the story's not really there 100%. It's based on a lot of cynicism. It's standing on the shoulders of a lot of other stuff that came before it, and it just has the benefit of picking and choosing all the best parts of it. Yeah, and also it's got a very extensive source material. 71 issues of a comic book is a lot of material. Yep. So I think it has that, but I mean, in as pertains to like growing into something, you know, like phenomenal, like, you know, and I'm not talking like phenomenal, like this is the greatest thing. I'm talking about like growing into something like pervasive and far-reaching. I think it's limited. I really do. I have got my doubts about it.
Friend of the show, Alexa Fox, actually also chimed in at some point, and she had mentioned that there really is not much more to go. She feels like the ending, even though it was a cliffhanger, there's not really much to read into at that point. I actually disagree. I'm curious to know where they're going to go with it. I love the fact that they jammed everything into these 8 episodes.
The three characters that they cliffhangered it on, right? Or technically the 4 characters, but one of them was killed, right? You don't know anything about all 3 of those characters, with the exception of Bill Butcher, who the most you know about him is his wife got stolen from him and disappeared at some point. And now you found out that was a lie. So okay, maybe they get back together, maybe they don't, probably not. But I mean, that's that.
Yeah.
And I mean, the linchpin to the motivation of his entire being, is revealed to have been based on a lie.
Yeah.
You almost ended his story with that. I mean, of course he'll have places to go, and he'll make decisions of his own after this. And then look, 5 minutes later, Homelander could kill his wife anyway, and then motivate him all over again. But it's just really weird that the 3 characters they cliffhangered on were the least developed characters of the show. So you're like, okay, I guess that'll be a big deal. But they already broke up the boys. The relationship has already fallen apart.
Right.
No one's coming to rescue them. No one's relying on him. Nobody's waiting for him to rescue them.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like it's not really a cliffhanger. It's more of a stopping point.
It's true. All right. What do you guys think? Chime in on the Facebook feed. Chime in on the YouTube feed. Twitch.tv. We're answering everywhere and always. Want to know what you think. Did you watch the show? Did you love the show? Did you read the book? I almost highly doubt anyone read the book, or else it would have lasted more than 71 issues. But let us know, and we will chime back.
Still a long run for these days, though.
It is. So when we come back, we're going to go right into the John Glover interview. We were out at Wizard World, Philadelphia. It's where we got the amazing Kevin Conroy interview we ran last week. So you can follow up with that on youtube.com/Secrets of the Sire, or go to iTunes, iHeartRadio, Spreaker, Stitcher, wherever you download your podcasts, and you can get our amazing interview. Kevin Conroy was just announced actually as he will be starring in the Arrowverse Crisis of Infinite Earths crossover that they're going to be doing on the CW, so that's great. But we got John Glover, who was known as Lex Luthor's father, Lionel Luthor, who's a completely made-up character. Didn't really realize that either. So for the show, talks about that.
Also, he's also in Shazam.
And he was the father. Yep, he was Mark.
He's a lot of bad fathers. He's a lot of bad dads.
So he talks about that. He also talks about his DC connection. So when we come back, John Glover interview.
Chipotle?
Did I mispronounce that?
Chicote from Star Trek.
Chipotle?
It's Chipotle. You eat the food
I don't
every
speak
week.
Spanish.
Yes. I'm sorry.
You ate a whole wheel of cheese and you pooped in the fridge?
That was too diverse, right? That was,
Secrets of the Sire.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. I am joined by Mr. John Glover from Smallville and Shazam fame, and quite frankly, and we're going to get into it in a minute, he's had an extended, extraordinary career, and I really want to get into the whole bulk of it in the short time that we have. John, how you doing, sir?
Good, Mike. Good. I'm in Philadelphia. It's one of my favorite cities.
What's the best part about Philly?
My memories of it. I just got off a train, so I haven't walked around. I haven't been for at least 5, maybe 6 years.
Everyone says the cheesesteaks, but it's the Reading Terminal Market.
You see, I become allergic to yeast, so I can't have the Philly cheesesteaks anymore.
There you go.
Yeah. I know. And it's one of the very hard things to be in Philly and not be able to eat. Yeah.
Let's talk about positive and happy things. You're known in the Comic-Con world, obviously, through Smallville and through your recent appearance in Shazam, but you have actually, you have had a really extended storied career. In the 80s, you were an Emmy-nominated actor. Talk to me about the full cycle real quick, if you can, about where your life started in acting and then coming into the Comic-Con world. What is that experience like to be in this universe versus in the broader acting sense?
Right. Okay. It started in high school. I was in a play, The Importance of Being Earnest. I had no idea I was going to be a teacher. I guess I had no idea what to be, how I could support myself. But I made people laugh, and I felt very powerful. And I was kind of an odd, strange child. So I went to college. I was going to be a teacher. I went to college in Baltimore, Towson State Teachers College, it was called. And I was going to be the drama teacher that taught English, also directed the plays. But then I went to a summer stock theater in between my college years, the Barter Theater down in Abington, and worked with people on the stage who were professional actors. And I thought, I can do this. So that's what I did. I moved to New York to be an actor, to do plays. I did plays for a while. I would come out to L.A., but they didn't seem ready to. I did a You Are There. They redid You Are There. I was a Pony Express rider once that set a record. But I went out to L.A. and did a film called 52 Pickup that John Frankenheimer directed. And I could tell that the L.A. was going to start hiring me. So I made a bunch of movies and a bunch of TV shows, and I got nominated for 5 Emmys. Never won. Always the bridesmaid, never the bride.
Is it an honor just to be nominated?
Until you lose. Yeah. And then you're a loser. Yeah. So, but then I got a couple of offers for, what came first? Smallville or? No, I did a Batman and the animated series. I did The Riddler, which which recorded right around the corner from where I lived. I did 3 episodes, that was all. It was on Saturday morning, so I thought, well, I'm not going to watch this. Besides, I knew nothing about Batman. And here 25 years later, it's legend, and I've touched people's hearts. Smallville came as an offer. Somebody dropped out. They said, you play Lex Luthor's father. It's one scene. They'll pay you this, da-da-da-da. It starts tomorrow. Can you fly up to Vancouver? They might have you on the show again, which ended up being 7 years. And I created this guy. I mean, there'd never been a Lionel Luthor before, which I'm quite honored to hear.
I read somewhere that you think he's the hero of the show, the true hero of the show.
I don't think I ever said that, but I do know that I gave Lex shock treatments to make him a stronger person. So they were all tests to make my son a better person. I was not a bad father. Shazam, however, I was a horrible father. I call it the father from hell. So I don't know what's going to happen next, whether I'll do any more superhero stuff, but it's certainly come my way in a big, big, big way.
How did Shazam come your way? I was curious about that because you're in the DC family yet again. Now you've managed to be in all 3 iconic series characters.
There were some reshoots, and the father who was going to play the father, I guess something happened, and they called up and said, do you want to be this father? I only saw the 2 scenes I was in. I had no idea what it was about. I'd never seen or heard of Shazam or Captain Marvel. Yeah, so I didn't know. Until I saw the movie, I didn't know where I fit in.
And from that film, again, you're back in the DC universe. So you're basically saying that, this Comic-Con world that you're a part of now is kind of new, and it kind of came to you.
It came to me. I did not go after it. It just started coming and coming and coming and coming. So I thought, okay, they're really interesting parts. Yeah. So I have a grand time whenever I do it.
Smallville in general, what are your favorite moments from that show that you can remember your character being in?
Oh, so many. But there was one when I was saving Annette. Where I had a lot of stunt work and everything, and they let me do most of those stunts. And then when Clark and I changed bodies, that was very exciting. But I mean, everything was, every week I'd come. I loved being blind. I didn't know if I was really blind but they gave me great situations to play. Peach, I had a great scene with the Peach once, and I made it so they couldn't cut it out because they didn't want me to have the Peach, and they tried to cut it out and they couldn't. I felt so proud of myself. Yeah.
What about shooting a television show that is very action-oriented versus maybe more, I don't want to say dramatic because there's a lot of drama in it too, but maybe that doesn't have action sequences?
That was something strange to me, all the stunts and things. But I was in great shape then. I mean, I even had a scene in the shower where I got stabbed in the shower. So I was surprised I was able to do that. But I looked damn good, God damn it.
What's coming up next for you?
I'm going to do a play in New York called Fern Hill, written by Michael Tucker, who's a favorite of a lot of people from L.A. Law. His wife Jill's in it. It's called Fern Hill, and it's about 3 couples that fix themselves up for going to the end. Yeah.
And what other Comic-Con appearances will you be at?
Shore Leave in Baltimore. That's where I went to school, so I hope to see a lot of friends there. And I hear tell one in Austin, perhaps, and South Carolina, but there's not for a while. I'm going to be doing that play soon, so I go unavailable for a bit. But I sure have a good time.
We appreciate you taking some time out and speaking with us as well, too.
Welcome back to Secrets of the Sire. Again, I want to thank Jerry Milani, PR guy over at Wizard World, for getting us access to him, to John Glover and to Kevin Conroy. We really appreciate it. We'll be checking out some of their shows. They got Wizard World Chicago coming up this August, later this month, I guess, because it's August. And unfortunately, I won't be able to go. I actually loved Wizard World Chicago. It was always one of my favorites, but we got there at Wizard World Philadelphia. So again, thank you to the Wizard World crew. All right, we do this every week. We go spinning the racks.
Spin the rack, spin that rack.
Andy Serkis closes deal to direct Venom 2. The actor and filmmaker will be tackling his first comic book movie as director. Andy Serkis is officially stepping into Venom's Goo. The filmmaker has closed a deal to direct Venom 2, Sony's sequel to the 2018 film that grossed $856 million worldwide at the global box office. The sequel, part of the company's stable of Spider-Man-related and Marvel-centric characters, will once again star Tom Hardy as the journalist who joins with an alien symbiote. Serkis flew to Los Angeles the week of July 22nd to meet with Sony brass. This will be Serkis' third directorial effort after 2017 drama Breathe and last year's non-Disney take on the Rudyard Kipling stories. What are your thoughts about Venom 2 with Andy Serkis at the helm?
I think they just saved Venom 2.
Yeah?
I don't know if the movie's probably... I got my thoughts on whether there should be a Venom 2 or not, but that's not what you asked me. But I think just as a political, this is a terrible thing to say, as a political idea, as a political decision, it's a really good one because Andy Serkis is pretty much almost
he's synonymous
universally beloved,
right?
You know? So
Snoke in the Star Wars films, he played.
Well, no, I mean even from Lord of the Rings, you can go all the way back to Lord of the Rings where he was a no-name
Hobbit trilogy, yep,
not a no-name actor.
Mm-hmm.
But he was a little known actor.
Yep.
I think either I don't know if he was originally New Zealand or
yeah, I think so.
I've seen him in some English shows.
Yeah.
Right? Before he was anyone.
Mm-hmm.
And he's they got him in his white leotard and he's playing the Golem as they're trying to figure out this motion capture thing for the first time. And he pioneered the whole motion capture. Yeah. And he literally turned all of that into a career from hard work. It honestly wasn't any finagling or any posturing or anything like that. It was mainly just genuine hard work and brilliant performances because everybody loved his Gollum. Yep. And everybody loves his Caesar from the Planet of the Apes movies. And he was Kong. He turned that into a major thing. And then Peter Jackson made him a second unit director for The Hobbit. And that was basically his main job through The Hobbit, and that kind of led him on the career of being a director, being a filmmaker.
Yep.
So, and then he hasn't made any wrong steps, and what I mean by wrong steps is I'm not talking about career wise.
Yep.
Just personality wise, like interactive wise, interaction with the audience wise. He's just maintained his humbleness and his and his kind of universal appeal as far as people are, you could follow his whole career. You could go back and follow his whole career. So okay, now he's going to make his debut in the milieu that he kind of they kind of birthed him, because fantasy and comics are they're cousins, right? The genres. So it's going to be his debut for comic book movie.
Yep.
It's the second installment in a major comic book franchise.
Yep.
It's going to be the second installment to a movie where the first installment was a breakaway hit, with an unexpected breakaway hit. It's pretty much got underdog coming from behind, kind of, the whole thing written all over it. So I think it's a good bet that was a great decision on their part, and that's gonna really help them bring this.
Let's not forget also that the first Venom featured a last-minute cameo by Woody Harrelson as Cletus Cassidy, aka Carnage, and Serkis previously worked with Harrelson on War of the Planet of the Apes.
War of the Planet of the Apes.
So there's a direct tie with that as well too. So I think
and let's also, because of the angels, because of God Himself, and because of the universe being a wonderful place of benevolent powers and spirituality. That movie actually did well in the first place, because it's a crap movie. So I mean, it must have been the powers that be that made it.
It was crappy, but it was so fun. Like, it was just fun. Like, I don't even know how to explain it. It was like one of those things where it wasn't even
even bad CG. Everything about it, watching it, was like, this should be a joke.
But I can't keep my eyes off it. And it's not even just like a train.
I could take my eyes off it.
I thoroughly enjoyed myself throughout that entire film. So, all right. Next week.
That's how I felt about Dark Phoenix, ironically. The one X movie that everybody hates is the one X movie I love. So,
oh boy,
which of us is wrong? I don't love it.
Well, I think we all know the answer to that.
Next, everybody should fix themselves, and they'll be on my page.
From the hit Image comic Thumbs, stops by to chat about his Image Comics experience, and we will dive into the latest and greatest of the comic book movie franchises. See you guys next week.
Heck yeah.